And welcome to Business Growth Insiders podcast. This is Jeff Evans with J. Vincent Creative. I am here with the illustrious Lisa McGuire, the private to my school. How are you doing today, Lisa?
Oh, that was a good one, Jeff. Really enjoyed that.
Thank you. I've been working really hard on that one. You know, it has absolutely nothing to do with our special guest today. Actually, it has everything to do with our special guest today. And let's get right into it. Hunter Cluthe is the head of school and founder of William and Reed Academy, a private school for middle and high school students located in Johns Creek, Georgia. He leads one of the most innovative models of education today by combining his experience as a successful business owner of a well-established test prep and tutoring center with over 20 years in education as a teacher and administrator. His extensive background in public schools exposed him to an education system where he saw firsthand that one size does not fit all. And no, it certainly doesn't. Hunter saw both an opportunity and a need and decided to create a solution to support students and their families at the same time. Today, we're going to hear why William and Reed Academy's most recent accreditation report ended with the summary statement, William and Reed Academy is poised to be at the forefront of private secondary college preparatory education. Let's get right into hearing as to how Hunter was able to create this new solution. Hunter, welcome to the show, brother. It's good to have you.
What's up, guys? What's up? Glad to be here.
Good.
That was a very humbling intro. I appreciate that.
It was long-winded, but well-deserved, man. You have a really, really great school out there. I know Lisa and I both know you personally and professionally from your school. And I got to tell you, it's an awesome school. It's why you're on the show today. We want to discuss, really just kind of how you came into to be, how you created this school, why you created this school, what you're seeing right now, within the environment that we are. We are still in COVID. This is July 8th, if I can date the show. And schools around the nation are scrambling to try and figure out what it is that they're going to do. My son's school, my daughter's school, every school is trying to run through these issues. So before we get into any of that stuff, Hunter, just give us a kind of an overview of who you are and what you do.
Sure. So I kind of fell into teaching and I absolutely loved it. And I think why I fell into it is by nature, I'm an entertainer. I know you're a drummer. That's actually what brought me to Atlanta, was playing drums in a rock band. And I realized as a teacher, you have a permanent audience. They can't leave. So they're just kind of stuck with you, whether you're a good comedian or a bad comedian, they're stuck in the room. But I absolutely loved it. And the element of connecting with kids and bringing life to their face and life to learning and seeing them kind of find their voice and gain confidence, it just really became my passion. And I was super fortunate to work in some really phenomenal school districts, many years in Gwinnett County, several years in Fulton County at Northview High School and Centennial High School. And, I met similar like-minded teachers and created a tutoring center in Johns Creek. It was Johns Creek SAT Prep and Tutoring. And these phenomenal teachers would come in the evening and they just started to seem a little defeated, a little like, why am I even in this profession anymore? I feel like I'm not supported. I don't, the cell phones are out of control. I don't have funds to support me doing my job correctly. And so a couple really top-notch teachers were on the fence for leaving education. And I said, no way. I mean, you were born to be a teacher. Let's sit down and what would it look like? What would a school look like if you could design it for the students? And we came up with William and Reed Academy. And so I think one of the strengths of our school, other than it just really making sense, like it's education that makes sense. Education really hasn't evolved since for many years.
Industrial Revolution.
That's what. Thank you. I'm a math teacher, not a history teacher. The Industrial Revolution, it is designed for that. And by gosh, we try and implement technology, but really there's so much wasted time in a school day. And, it's a hodgepodge of teachers. I was able to really hand pick the best teachers of Fulton and Gwinnett that I have personally worked with to create this school. And so it just solves a lot of the problems and a lot of the issues that don't make sense out there. And what we're finding, you mentioned COVID earlier, is because we are small and we're reasonable, we're able to remain fluid with the situation. And like the end of last year, most schools, I don't know any that didn't go fully virtual. We called it remote learning. But we got really great feedback from our families, especially the families that had students still in public school who felt like it was just a waste of a semester. And they're really concerned about this year being a waste of a year. So what we're doing is we're collaborating with our families and community members, and we're putting together a plan that, again, makes sense next year. And if it needs to change, we're able to change it. It's not like we're the Titanic. We're like a Navy SEALs life raft zipping through the water. We're not a big cruise ship that can't make a turn. And so I think because of that, like we have an informational session tonight, and we have 3 or 4 times as many families joining us for that than we normally have. And so, again, I'm just flattered. I'm humbled. Unfortunately, we're still the best kept secret. But, if I know this is a mix of business people possibly watching this, but if you are interested in the school, I have to do this one plug. You really need to go to our website and look at the credentials of the teachers. Mm-hmm. These are people move to North Fulton and Forsyth for the schools. They pay the extra taxes, and they often get in there and it's not what they think it's going to be. And it creates a problem that their kids are slipping through the cracks. They're not being heard. They're burning out. I mean, hours of homework. There's just so many issues. And William and Reed really solves most of those problems. Just the quality of teachers, the class size, the flexible schedule. I could go on all day, but really the magic is our teachers, and I'll be honest, I never in a million years thought that I would, start a private school. It's just private schools generally feel very homogenized to me. I had a good friend who used to run one of the big private schools, and he said, "Hey, I have a math position for you if you want it," because I was a math teacher at the time and I was looking to make a change to become more of an entrepreneur and free up some time. And so I went, and I'm just like, this place, they're not ready for me, And one thing I love about public school is there's a grit element to it, right? These teachers have some grit, and they call it like it is. And William and Reed has that same grit, and not many private schools have that. Right. They feel very obedient, right? And we want our students to be respectful, but not obedient. We want them to have a voice and use that voice. And no one flies under the radar at William and Reed Academy. Everybody is engaged. You asked, I answered, and then some extra. So there I go.
Yeah. So Hunter, a lot of people want to know you designed something that was very different. So tell us a little bit maybe about the schedule, the makeup of the classes, and your ideal student profiles.
Well, so one thing we did is we said, hey, what we need to do is find something that solves a lot of these problems with the big school of kids getting burnt out. And no one works in this building that doesn't value children having a childhood. I feel like kids that go to school all day and then they're working all evening, it's kind of parental and educational malpractice. They don't often 3 hours of homework is counterproductive. So the first thing we did is we looked at the schedule and we said, how can we get more instructional time in a shorter week? And so we have what's called a blended learning model. So we have kids come to school Monday through Thursday, and for 4 periods, they do 65 minutes per period, 16 kids max per class. We have never gone above 16 students per class. And right now we're averaging about 10 to 12.
Wow.
And we do the core academics. We do math, English, science, social studies, which includes several AP classes for upper level students, honors classes. And then we have an option for students, if they're not able to stay beyond 12:30, they can stay and do Spanish face-to-face and do a study hall till 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But what it does is, because of the flexible schedule, it gives kids just more control over their time, to have family time, to pursue other things outside of school and not be burnt out. I'd say probably 30% of our students are competitive athletes that are like going to a tennis academy, et cetera, gymnastics. Like we have a lot of future Division I athletes that don't want to do a homeschool program or like some hybrid, 2 or 3 day a week thing. If you look at the way it's structured, our kids are in class, each academic class, 10 minutes longer every week than a traditional 5-day-a-week, 50-minute schedule.
Wow.
So the first thing we did is we said, hey, let's get a schedule that works for families. So we have a schedule that gives them the flexibility to leave at 3 different times during the day, 12:30, 2, or 3. Now, the students that leave at 12:30 that are in high school do need to do an online class to get their credits to graduate. It's usually a world language, and that works out well for them. Another thing that we wanted to tackle was, like I mentioned, class size, connecting with students. I will say my last few years in a big school, which was Centennial High School, I dreaded cell phones. And you see adults all the time. They're just, this is the worst thing to happen to education. And honestly, these classes are so big, these kids often in big public schools will be on their cell phone for 80 to 100% of the day of their time. They're hiding it behind someone's back. They're Snapchatting. So the first thing we do is we remove that distraction. And that student has to understand that there are boundaries and there's a sense of urgency to what we're doing. And what I tell every parent that comes in, and this is kind of true for any business, is you want to do business with people that share values, especially when it's a people business. If you're selling a product, that could be a little bit different, but it could be anything from a chiropractor to educational consultant. You want to share values and kind of share the same vision. And so what I tell parents is when you're looking at a private school, you're really sizing up the values of that private school. And we make very clear what we value is hard work, accountability, et cetera.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit of if you have a target type of student that you're looking for, or who would not be an appropriate student.
Okay, so we pretty much have like 3 categories. We have the high achieving student who is in a very rigorous burnout mode in public school, but not being heard. They're just cranking out work, and it's all about the GPA, and they're really missing the bigger picture of developing the inner self and taking a self-inventory. We have on the kind of the other side is what we call the underestimated student, who this is the kind of kid I was growing up. I would do kind of bare minimum. School was not my thing in high school. College, it became my thing, but I didn't take honors or AP. I did like on-level classes. I took a few honors classes, and I made A's and B's with little effort. And then in college, I really learned who I was as a student. And there are a lot of kids in public schools right now that are making those, 70 to 80 range, and the parents are just thinking, we're better than this. And that's probably 40% of our students, that those 70s and 80s out there become 80s and 90s at William & Reed, just because of the accountability piece and the connecting with teachers. And then we have like the student athletes, students that have something going on outside of school that really need the flexibility without compromising on the quality. And there are some 2-3 day a week hybrid programs out there, but you just cannot compare them to the caliber of teachers and the classroom instructional time that William & Reed Academy offers. So those are typically the 3. Where it gets a little difficult is, we have several students that are here with an IEP that do very well. They have to work hard. They have some diagnosed obstacles that they can overcome, but there are certain things we're just not set up to accommodate. And we usually refer to a school that specializes to give them more attention in areas that they may need it. One thing we take a lot of pride in is we have a full-time college admissions counselor on staff that walk the kids through the admissions process and help the parents. And we have just gotten really great feedback from that. But we don't have like a therapeutic counselor on board. It's been difficult. We learned the hard way when we first opened that, hey, your child has anxiety. Well, we have these great teachers in small classes, and it may have been okay for a while, but sometimes that's not enough to fix those needs. So we really most parents that come in say it's a breath of fresh air, the admissions process. We put our cards on the table. We want the parents to put the cards on the table. And if we're able to partner, it's a beautiful thing. And if it's not, then, what I tell any parent looking for a private school is if they say this is not the right fit, don't take it personally. Stand up, shake that person's hand and say thank you, because you're not writing a check to that person to potentially have your child be miserable in 2 to 6 weeks. The person that suffers is a child. And private schools, even if they're nonprofit, they want enrollment. They need funds to keep things moving. So I tell parents, when you're looking at a private school, 2 things. You should constantly be evaluating the values of that school. Who is going to be basically raising my children when I'm not around for these 4 or 5 hours every day? And in a lot of cases, teachers see students more than the parents do, especially when they become high school age. So that trust is so important. And then I also tell the parents, as I mentioned, if a school says it's not the right fit, just take a deep breath and go find the right school.
Yeah. And you have the ability to direct them to a school that would be a better fit, because it is about fit.
Absolutely. And it was a big I called my friend who was running the private school I mentioned earlier. I'll keep the name out of it. I said, hey, I had all these questions about, what about this and what about that? And he just started laughing and he said, hey, your job officially makes sense now. You're no longer in public education. And there was a little bit of truth to that. Like, it's just wired and structured totally differently. And so when teachers come in, they know. In fact, I hired a teacher yesterday. I said, look, you have to have a what can I do to help mentality versus what's in it for me. And unfortunately, in the public schools, I was one of those teachers. I wanted the good schedule with the classroom with the window and the good planning period. And William and Reed is not about that. The students absolutely come first. Anyway.
Yeah. So Hunter, I think the thing I love about you is, one of the things I love about you is you saw a problem and you saw a need and you went out and did something about it. So our listeners, whether they're business owners or parents trying to figure out what they're going to do with their kids this fall, tell us a little bit about that thought process of, a lot of people think, oh, I could do this. What made you, take action? What made you do that? Because that's a scary thought.
Right. It is. It's taking that leap you can hold your breath a little bit on it. I will be honest, what gave me the confidence was collaborating with other really great top-notch educators to say, I would like to work in this environment. I would be happy. And, when I first got married, my father-in-law pulled me aside and he said, happy wife, happy life. And, it's similarly true in a school. If the teachers feel supported by not just the staff, my job is just not to support the teachers, but to make sure that the parents are also supporting the teachers and that we're all on the same page. So what I will tell you, owning a tutoring center really gave me the business confidence to do it. It was a good way to get my feet wet, and transition from 1099 employees to, okay, now we have 1099 contractors. Now we have W-2 employees. Now we have a full benefits package. Like our teachers work 20 hours a week and they get health care and they get all these wonderful things. Otherwise, I won't get the best teachers. I mean, it's simple. 401k, we got it. So that tutoring center gave me the business confidence to make that move. But collaborating and doing market analysis with the best in the business also gave me the confidence professionally and educationally to set up and make the move to open William and Reed Academy.
Yeah. I think, just learning that the beauty of collaboration and we can be better together than we are individually. You were able to put that into practice. So well done on that. One thing we haven't mentioned is what grades you serve and where you're located. And
sure.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So we are middle and high school, which is 6th through 12th grade. It's been really amazing to get duly accredited. So we have advanced ed accreditation and we have Georgia Accrediting Commission accreditation. And it's nice to be able to direct people like to the website to see the college entrances. We have some very impressive college acceptances from our students and families. And so what we did is we set up shop where I have my tutoring center. So like a lot of churches and schools start in retail space. We're probably here for another year, maybe year or two. till we can comfortably make a move to a permanent facility. So we're in Johns Creek off of Jones Bridge, Sargent, and Douglas Road. And we have beautiful 10,000 square feet. The parents love it. It's convenient. I think there's 6 high schools within a 6-mile radius. So we pull a lot of kids, mostly from North Fulton and South Forsyth, but we also have several that drive from Gwinnett County and some as far as Flowery Branch.
Wow.
Yeah. And one comes from Peachtree City, if you could believe that. But he also trains tennis up this way. So it works that way. So yeah, we're located there. We're grades 6 through 12. I will share this story because I have kind of a complex about being in a shopping center. And so this very affluent family came in, and I always make jokes. I'm like, hey, you need your eyebrows threaded, or you need a taco? The best Mexican restaurant in all of Atlanta is right below us.
Nice.
I'm like, you need any of that? We're your one-stop shop. And, I was making light of it. And she started laughing, and she said, hey, we were part of Kings Ridge before they kind of blew up and became what they are now. And she said most of the people miss Kings Ridge when they were in a Bruno's grocery store. A lot of people don't know that, but Kings Ridge, as beautiful as it was in a Bruno's grocery store. And she said, do you know why? And I'm on the edge of my seat, and I'm like, no, why? And she said, because when you have a school and a shopping center, everybody's there for the right reason. And it couldn't be more true. And I've had very candid conversations with our parents. If you want to keep up with the Joneses, go to Woodward, go to Wesleyan, but you're not going to get the experience you're going to get at William and Reed Academy. Not even close. But what I told them, any W school, Westminster, pick your W. What I tell the parents is, look, we could have moved. We're going into our 7th year, and we probably could have moved after year 4 or 5. But I did not want to put the school in a situation where if there was an economic downturn, like there could be coming right now, that we're in the middle of one, where we just start accepting students to pay the bills, because I never want to sacrifice the quality of our admissions process. And the parents understand that, and they're okay with that. We have some very highly educated, affluent parents who can put their kids anywhere and choose William and Reed. And again, it's incredibly humbling. I just wake up. I can't believe it every day that we get to do what we want to do, but how we want to do it, which is the right way.
Yeah. So Hunter, you talk about William and Reed being the best kept secret. There's probably a lot of misconceptions out there. And so, what are some of those kind of rumors that you've heard that really surprise you when people come back and tell you?
I think one we used to get was, I think it's only for athletes. And it's really not. Our biggest look, if it's not the right fit, I will steer somebody somewhere else. I'm not going to take their money just to take the money. And so, this is such a great affordable option for students that are not showing up on the radar, which is 80% of the kids out in public school or even private school. And it's a kind environment. The teachers are awesome. I won't hire a teacher that I wouldn't want to hang out with at Taco Mac Thursday after work. It's just, and the kids pick up on that. And there's just underlying respect where everyone comes in and does what they're supposed to do, and they're making it their school. So we are not a homeschool program by any means. Homeschool programs tend to have kind of 2 camps, kind of the margarita moms that, this serves their purpose to, like, it's flexible. And, and then there's a very, almost a sheltering feel, like, we don't want to expose our kids to all of this out there. It's too much. So we're not a homeschool program. It's a full-time school. I mean, we have athletics, our tennis players, big surprise, are state champs 3 times in a row, would have been 4 times this year, more than likely. Okay. They would have been. But like, we added cheerleading, and we have basketball team, and we have swimming and a yearbook. And I mean, it's a school experience. If you could overlook the shopping center, you're not going to get a better school experience if it's the right fit for your child.
Yeah. And what we know, the school is not the building, it is the people inside. So as we get close to wrapping up here, Hunter, tell us a little bit about what it was like to pivot from full-time face-to-face instruction to all of a sudden you were virtual. Tell us how your teachers went through that, and your students and your families. How did that look?
I was shocked at how smooth it happened. We had a teacher work day on Friday, and that was the last day we were all in the building at the same time. And Monday they hit the ground running. And I will tell you, the feedback we got from parents, especially those that had students in other schools, was stellar isn't even the right word. They were so appreciative that their kids, and part of me, I was thinking, this is great. The public schools aren't going to figure this out for a while. But even if they figure out Zoom with 35, 36 kids is nothing like Zoom with 6 or 7 kids where it's conversational. And the students are still making progress. So, like I said, I think parents know a storm is coming and they don't want to be caught out in the weather. And this is just a great option. But, you know, we have an informational session tonight at 7, and I'm probably going to have a parent come speak to the parents that are interested in William and Reed about their experience, about I don't even want to call it virtual learning. We call it distance learning. But basically, our kids kept the same schedule. The teachers got on every day for the most part, unless there was a project. Kids were doing group work. We didn't miss a beat. It was really extraordinary. And so we're doing professional development this summer and staff development to build upon that, to bring in different modes of learning and different modes of assessment. And it needs to be student-centered, not always teacher-centered. And so I'm really proud of our staff to continually grow. And that's what real professionals do. They build upon and improve. And so we're ready to rock it next year. I will say we've chosen, as it stands now, our plan is to, unless things really worsen, have an in-school and a virtual option, a distance option. But a lot of the public schools, it looks like you have to commit to a semester or a year. And we're making 4-week increment commitments. So if you choose in-class instruction, all safety precautions will be taken at school that you're seeing, CDC guidelines, et cetera, disinfecting, probably masks, as much physical distancing as possible in our facility. At any point, if you don't feel comfortable, your child could go home for the remainder of that 4 weeks and learn distance, do distance learning, virtual learning from home. And our teachers will be broadcasting the classes, and also including in-class students with at-home students to do group work. So we have a common area here where, let's say 4 kids are in a group, two of them are here, 2 are at home. They'll come out to the common area and Zoom with the kids at home and keep that interaction, as much socialization as possible. Another thing that we're looking at is, since we don't have school on Friday, kids that are doing virtual learning at home, maybe on Fridays could come in to do assessments. We'll just make sure whatever room they're in is incredibly sanitized, and the building is pretty much empty on Friday. We could really separate kids. So being small is wonderful in this case. You know, we usually average about 130 and 140 kids, but we're working towards a capacity of 220 in our current facility.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you really have the best of both worlds. You've provided parents who need to remote work. They don't have to be that homeschool teacher. And it sounds like you've also got those honor level classes that many of our students are looking for without having to compromise their schedule. So I just say, well done. Just well done. And, you know, this episode will be up for quite a while. So if you don't make the information session tonight, there is one on July 22nd, I believe. And then just check the William and Reed website. And what is that, Hunter?
It's williamandreed.com, A-N-D, williamandreed.com.
All right, great.
Pay us a visit. We'd love to see you guys.
Great.
Awesome. And of course, you can always find Hunter through William and Reed's Facebook page as well. It's fully loaded. They're always communicating. They have a great page of it. They have a lot of great things going on at that school. And they're always communicating, even during the summertime. So please check them out. If you have any questions for Hunter themselves, you know, just hit him up through Messenger. It'll get to him. There's no doubt about that, especially if it's anything in related to the school or to how he started the school. He's a vast of information. He's definitely talking about that. So Always check us out as well, businessgrowthinsiders.com. We are on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, you name it, we are there. Thank you guys again for watching, listening, checking us out. We will be back again next week. We're actually ramping back up to be, a fully functioning show. We've got some other really great guests coming down the pipeline. Everybody stay tuned. You're going to love it. So thank you again for watching, and
take your business and grow. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.